Welcome to the first podcast ever. Our
Thank you.
podcast is called Off the Field by SRSA. Today we have Catherin Kobrinsky, which is our vice president for our Salinas Regional Sports Authority, which is the nonprofit that manages the soccer complex here in Constitution. All right, Catherin, we'll just jump right in. You
Okay.
ready?
Okay. Yes, I'm ready. As ready as I'll ever be.
Perfect. So, okay, Catherin, as a founding vice president of the SRSA, what inspired you to establish a nonprofit in 2008?
So, this is going back to 2008, and I am a strong believer in soccer, in youth sports, in team sports. And I was very familiar with the Constitution soccer fields, and had noticed, along with a lot of other people out there, that the existing fields were in really deplorable condition. And but also, more importantly, that there was this huge piece of undeveloped land right next to Constitution. And so while we're thinking that the field should be fixed up, we're also looking at all of this empty land and thinking, well, what if we expand it and made more fields and made more opportunities for people to play soccer? Because you don't have to sell soccer in Salinas. People love it, are passionate about it, and you almost could not build too many fields in order to accommodate the demand for fields that we have in this city. And so we have Constitution, and then people were trying to figure out how to get access to school fields. It was just difficult. There weren't enough fields. It was incredibly expensive, incredibly difficult to even find fields, and the fields that people could find were usually not in great condition.
Yeah.
And it just does not actually honor, I think, our community. And I consider our community to be the Salinas Valley, not just the city of Salinas. And so that was the beginning, was just this sense of like, let's see what is it that people want? What's the demand? The demand is huge. We already know it's there. Now, how do we find a way to identify some land that's not being used for something else, not farmland, it's not important, it's just sitting there waiting for this opportunity? And so that's how it all started. I was initially brought on board because of my experience with real estate development, with the idea that we might be able to do some developing alongside the soccer complex that would help fund it. That didn't end up happening, but I was in and not going anywhere, of course, at that point, and started my role on the board as the board secretary, and that was in 2008, 17 years ago.
Honestly, one of the things that I was very impressed about, I'm not a Salinas native, but when I came to Salinas, and I think what you're talking about, Catherin, like when I came to Salinas and when I went to the soccer complex for the first time, that Jonathan was like, come down so you can see it. I was like mesmerized by the sense of community that I felt. And it wasn't just, it's so interesting because like people don't always talk to each other. People are like playing, kids are running around. Parents are screaming to their kids. Some of them are on the field, some of them are messing around. But there's just like this, I can't even explain it. I can't even put it in words, but there is this really strong sense of community there. And I think that's something you guys should be very proud of, that you guys have been able to, provide such a beautiful space for our community.
Thank you.
Okay, Catherin.
Thank you. So, I love to hear that.
Yeah. Also, Catherin, I have to take a moment to acknowledge your fit. I have to. Because I always say, Catherin, your fits are always fitting. Like, truly, truly, truly. Yeah.
Just so you know, when I know I'm going to see you, what am I going to wear today? Because I'm going to see Lupe.
Well, it works out perfectly every time, Catherin. Catherin, so you are, as a volunteer board member, what do you find the most rewarding about contributing your times and efforts to the Salinas Regional Sports Authority?
Well, as I mentioned before, 17 years of progress is what I'm the most proud of and part of what keeps me going. But also because, as you described, that sense of community, the actual life force that has taken place of the soccer community, the soccer families, that thing that's happening, that energy that's happening is something that, you can't help but see and believe in and be inspired by.
Thank you. That's awesome, Catherine. Catherine, so you mentioned your daughters have played soccer, and that you were amazed again by the sense of community you found at SRSC. Can you share a little bit more about that experience, like when you were actually going to the complex, playing with your daughters, and how has that shifted? How has that space shifted from the time you were on the ground playing with your daughters to now?
Um, Having two daughters who played travel soccer, club soccer, that was our life. Soccer was our life. And so as they were going through their school years, and we were in sometimes traveling, sometimes playing locally, there were incredibly strong bonds that were built, not just amongst the players who play together, because there's no doubt, that loyalty and commitment to each other carries forward in your life. It's so powerful. But also, there's a lot to be said for being a parent and being amongst like-minded parents who share your passion for your kids. These are all people who have chosen to show up for their kids' games and help their kids' teams exist and thrive. And those friendships, even amongst the parents, are also strong bonds because we share a lot of the same values. And it's wonderful to find that. And you find it through your kids, through soccer, and through teams. Yeah. It's just, soccer is this incredible unifying force in our community.
That's so beautiful. Are you still in contact with the people in the parents from your daughters' soccer team?
Many of them, yes. Yeah. Many of them I built my own lifelong friendships with. One of them being Kurt Galnick.
Oh, yes.
And, and that obviously he hooked me into SRSA.
Yeah, he's so
impossible
good. Kurt,
to deny. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was also Kurt who hooked me, I would say, when I did the first interview. I think I forgot there was a question that I asked about, like, what are you guys looking for in the person for this role? I don't remember exactly what the question was, but his answer was like, I think that was the thing that told me where I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can always tell, Catherine, that you guys have known each other for such a long time, and then you guys have built that relationship because, first of all, when you guys both are in the space, I feel like you guys both light up. Like, it's amazing to see that friendship, and then the banter. It's pretty funny.
I know, like brother and sister.
Yeah,
we're not even nice to each other.
I want to mic you guys up, and I want to do a segment about that because I think that's hilarious. We'll move on to the next question. So, Catherine, where do you envision the soccer complex to go in the next 5 or even 10 years?
Great question. The timing of how things develop with this soccer complex has a lot to do with funding, and it has a lot to do with lawsuits, land use, all of these complicated issues related to doing a development of any kind anywhere. So there are certain things that we're not actually in control of the pace, but I would say that in my own mind, my 5-year vision is that we would have 22 fields, we would have lighted fields, we would be open 12 months a year, we would have increased our programs tremendously, and we would have developed more key community partnerships with other youth-serving organizations. And we would have all these amenities that we have in the pipeline, like game courts, beach soccer fields, playgrounds, walking path, BMX track, skate park, that all of these things will be done within the next 5 years. And we will see that place just rocking.
Yeah. And I think I know that it might not feel that way for you because I feel like the trajectory of that project has been really long, and I also know, like you talked about, all the other factors that contribute to like the timing and the challenges, and specifically the funding to get it completed. But I would say, like, we just finished phase 2A, which was the new artificial turf fields. We've already started on the next phase, which is the 7 grass fields, and we have that grass growing. So yeah, I feel like I definitely see us there in 5 years as well, and it's really exciting.
And then, of course, the 10-year plan is that we would have the field house with the wellness
With the
center
wellness
and the indoor
center.
field, and that within the 10-year timeline. And of course, any of these things can be done sooner than what I imagine.
Yeah.
And I would be very, very happy.
Well, I'm very excited to see all that come to life,
Yeah.
Catherin, because I know it will. I know it because I'm in the team and I know how hard we work.
Yeah.
Catherin, what are some other known facts about our soccer complex that the public might not be aware of?
Well, first of all, that it's not a city-owned facility. You know that this soccer complex is owned, operated, run, conceived, funded by the community, and it's all community members that serve on our board, and we seek funding from a variety of sources, whether they are local individuals or foundations or government, but this is a facility that is by and for the community, and people don't realize that necessarily, and I want them to.
Yeah, and I just like this goes perfect to the next question, but I think there's so many more benefits. And maybe I get to see that because I'm in there and I'm in that space and I get to like witness it a lot more. But Catherin, what do you feel like is some of the benefits outside of just soccer and for our local community?
Um, well, I think most importantly is that it's a place where individuals can excel, that they can be proud of themselves with what they accomplish. But I also believe that it's a place where groups of people, whether it's a team or a family or multi-generations, can bond and be strong together and be making these great memories. I mean, the families that come to the soccer complex that are there continually, it's like their space. And that is a generational tradition, because people who are in high school today are going to be the college students of tomorrow, and they're going to be the parents of the next phase of their lives, which means that they will have their own little kids coming to the complex, and they will be part of the parent group, and their parents will be part of the abuelos. It's just, it's a beautiful thing to think of how time passes very quickly, and that your time at this soccer complex is not necessarily a little blip of a few years. It's a lifespan for you and your parents and your grandparents and your children someday.
Yeah. And I did speak, Catherin, to a parent out there that came up to me when I was like filming one day and was talking to me, and he was like letting me know, he's like, yeah, I actually played on these fields. He's like, and I remember the grass and it didn't look like this. He's like, and now I'm here at this clinic and it's my kids playing, and I grew up in these fields, and so for me it's really special to have to come now and see the space and see how much it has like grown. And yeah, I think that's really nice. And then the other day too, I seen this. I think outside of just soccer, I seen this mom who was like walking the walking path, and I started talking to her, and she was like, I recently got divorced. Like it's been tough for me. And coming here and just walking the walking path, it gives me a breather. It gives me a space to just like take it in and like a mini second for myself. So yeah, I think you get to see that, and it's
Oh, that's totally wonderful. I love. Thanks for sharing that.
You're very welcome. So Catherin, you are someone that is so passionate about elevating women in soccer. What advice would you give young girls in this community who are looking to create a pathway to support and empower women in the sport?
Well, I think first of all, girls who play soccer girls in our community need to show up and participate. And whether they are players or they're team managers or they get jobs as sideline judges, just show up and be a part of it and stay in it. And if you're a player, definitely do not quit. Stay in the game, find a purpose for yourself within the game, stay in it, and through college, whatever. And then you will yourself eventually probably become a parent of a soccer player. So keep in mind that life arc, and that while you're doing that, you are probably staying in school, building lifelong friendships with your teammates, learning about discipline, learning about excellence, like how do I excel? How do I become my best self? And within the world of soccer, you can answer that question for yourself, and you can show up every day, and you can, have some self-discipline sometimes and commit yourself to something that you might, not go out on a Friday night if you have a game on early Saturday morning. And it's just, but that's okay. That's a great life lesson, right? And so I would just say, yes, show up and then stay in it.
I love that. Catherin, did you see, or what was some of the growth that you saw in your daughters as they were playing soccer?
Well, a lot of the things that I just talked about, really. I think learning the self-discipline that commitment requires, being proud of themselves, and then they got to a point where there was not a question. Like I would not do this. And I'm referring now just generally to sports. And so they continued to play soccer after high school. They continued to play it in college, whether it's intramural or, even other sports. They're very athletic. And I think they have both taken that into their careers, because if you're a team player, you bring those skills with you to the workplace. And I mean, the statistics on the number of women who are in the executive suites who played sports is very high, and it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. I know I read that fact somewhere and I was like, I was shook it. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's like 90%. I think it is above 90%, Catherin, which is insane to think about, like making that connection with, other things you just talked about.
Yeah.
Catherin, are there any final thoughts or a message you would like to share with us that I didn't ask you about?
Let's see. Well, I would just say that, my message in general to the community is how important it is to support this soccer complex, and that this is not just a dream. This is something that's actually happening. It is the most impactful recreational community facility or project in the Salinas Valley happening now. And if you can find a way to contribute, whether it's time or dollars, you don't need to believe in a dream. You can just see it. It's already in play. And I just encourage people to get involved and to support this project.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it is transformative, Catherin. And we've seen it. We've seen it happen in other cities where the community comes, like you said, by community for community.
Yeah.
And it really, they use sports and, a space like the soccer complex, and it transforms the community. And I think, I'm excited to see that. And I think, like, if you go to the soccer complex, even if it's just to get some of the awesome food, you get to feel that. But I'm excited I hope other people who are maybe not into soccer, who are just, I don't know, like that isn't, because I know I wasn't, but I think I still get pulled into that space when I'm there. And there's so much more to do. Like I do the walking path and okay, Catherin, ready? So we're gonna go into rapid fire questions.
Okay.
All right. Okay. What soccer team do you root for?
The U.S. Women's Olympic soccer team.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite song, artist, or album?
Bruno Mars.
Ooh, I love that, Catherin. Wouldn't have expected that. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
It's a classic film called To Sir with Love.
Oh, I've
always been my favorite, and I highly recommend it.
I'm gonna check it out. What's your favorite hike or outdoor adventure you've been on?
I think Big Bend National Park, which is down at the Rio Grande in Texas.
And what is one thing you do to support your well-being?
Lead a purposeful life.
Awesome.
And sleep.
That's an important one.
It's the hardest one.
Yeah, it really is. All right, Catherin, well, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for being the first board member for our podcast. We're excited.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And shout out to Erin, because that question that you were like, that's a good question. Those are Erin's questions.
Oh, the rapid fire?
No, not the rapid fire. I think it was the
Oh, the first ones?
Where do you see, well, all of
Oh,
them, but specifically that one?
5 and 10 years?
Yeah.
That's a great question. It
Well,
really made.
I did the rapid fire questions too.
Yeah.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're just like more a little bit more personal. You know?
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rapid fire is fun. I always like it when people do that.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
yeah.
I would panic and I would be like,
no, it's good that you give it in
No.
advance. It's really helpful because I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have said those just like that.
I'm like that too. I have to like think.
Yeah,
My answers.
exactly.
But are we good? Okay.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Catherin.
Thank you. Whew, that's done.
Yes. Done. I'm ready.